Hello, in this webinar, we're going to show all the features of Lobbyze. We've gone through several improvements over time, and now, in this new version, we're going to record a video showing all the features, the updates we've made, and how you can get the most out of the tool. So when you log into Lobbyze, you'll be directed to this tournament screen. This is where you have your showcase, so to speak, of tournaments. All available tournaments you can use to build your schedule are here on this screen. And I'll show you the first settings you can already configure in Lobbyze's interface. Here you'll see your schedule, in case you play on a team or are part of a project that adds a schedule for you. You'll see a list of schedules here, like in my example. So you select your schedule from this list, which schedule you'll be playing or editing. Here in our help section, you have an animated guide. We highly recommend you go through it. It will show you how to schedule tournaments, how to select tournaments, and go through all the filter steps and more. So it's really great for you to complete this initial guide. In the user section, you'll see info about your license, how to change your password, upgrade or downgrade your subscription. You can also set the language and switch between dark and light mode of Lobbyze. I'll leave it in dark mode. Another important thing to configure is the menu layout. You can hide all the menus to keep the screen clean. So you can hide menus using this hamburger icon above, or just collapse the left side menu as well. Another thing you can configure is the columns. This little gear icon will show up on all main screens in Lobbyze that have a tournament list, both here in the main tournament list, our showcase screen, and in other screens I'll show later. Here, you can choose, I want to show the site name, start time, buy-in, name. So here you have all the columns to select from, and you can view the info we have, like real-time blinds count, tournament status, field size estimate, estimated end time. There's a lot of useful info, and you can choose what you want to display here. These are all the settings you can configure in Lobbyze. Now I'll show you how to create your schedule. So, to create your schedule, everything in Lobbyze is based on filters. Think of it like being in a bookstore, where you filter by book type, by author. All of those are filter parameters you can select. Here on this first screen, we already have the most relevant info. So you can start building by choosing the sites you play on. For example, the buy-in range you want to play. Clicking on more filters, you'll find several other filters. So for example, tournament start time. So I want tournaments that are within this time range. Minimum prize pool you want to require for the tournament. If you want regular, turbo, hyper tournaments, which format, if you want KO or regular tournaments. This exclude field is really interesting. You can define parameters to clean it up. Leave your list more organized. For example, remove one entry tournaments from the list, or day one tournaments. Everything you set up in the other filters and still hasn't been removed from the list, you can come here and exclude by part of the name. It's a very useful parameter to keep your list clean. Here we also have the player count field. You can control the variance in your schedule. Player schedule with fewer or more players. How many players per table if you want to play 6 max, 7 max. Here, by day of the week. Those are other filters too. Currency filters are less relevant here, but still available to configure. So here I've created a general filter. I could manually choose which tournaments I want to add to the schedule within this filter, and click to add to the schedule. Here, I select the days of the week I want these tournaments to be added. There are other options here, like configuring alarms. So I can already set alarms for this tournament, and there are a few types of alarms. I can set one for when the tournament starts, one for a few minutes before it starts, a few minutes after it starts, or minutes before the registration ends. You can set this already when scheduling the tournament. You can also set a specific time, or a very commonly used notification based on blind count. You can say, I want to be notified when I have X blinds left. So you set it here, define the blind amount, and the notification will be configured for the tournament. You can also set the priority for these tournaments, what priority the selected tournaments in our schedule will have. The comment field and max rebuy is more commonly used by poker teams. So by clicking Add to Schedule, these tournaments will be added to your schedule. This little clock icon means the tournament has a registered notification, so it will trigger an alarm when it starts, which we defined earlier. This filter can be saved to reuse. So think of it like this. We defined a bunch of parameters, and we don't want to redo it every time we use Lobbyze. So I can name this tournament filter. Once named, I can reuse it. My saved filters will appear here under Saved Filters, so whenever I need to filter my schedule, I can reuse these filters here. So the first screen is the tournament screen. That's your showcase. That's where you select the tournaments you want to play. We saw that we scheduled for the whole week. So once a tournament is scheduled, as long as it remains available in the sites, you don't need to reschedule it. Lobbyze automatically updates itself every week and keeps the tournament in your schedule. And the tournaments you've scheduled will appear here in the manager schedule. This is a schedule we already had. So here I have 40 tournaments scheduled for Sunday, the day I'm recording this video. And if I move to the following week, I can see tournaments for the other days too. So the first screen is tournaments, where we build the schedule. And here we get an overview of how our schedule turned out, showing the ABI, the percentage, the tournament type, how many are regular, turbo, hyper, what percentage are KO, average number of participants. So here we get a weekly overview of the schedule, but this isn't the screen we recommend using while scheduling. It's a bit cluttered. Its purpose is more for planning the schedule. For example, you can use the favorites button. Mark the tournaments you don't want to miss from your schedule, your favorite ones. Here you can edit notification settings. Those configurations we showed back on the first screen. You can edit the notification, change the priority. A nice field to show is the registration time field. This is where you can set the time you usually register for that tournament. So let's say the tournament starts at 2 p.m. I usually register at 2:30 p.m. This field will later be used to order your schedule, so you can have your schedule organized chronologically by this field. And this field can also become a notification. You can check an option saying, whenever it reaches this time, trigger an alarm. I'll show you how to configure the alarm in a bit. The manager schedule is where you get an idea of your schedule, see how it was defined, how it's set up, ABI, and other data like I mentioned. But it's not the screen you'll use for grinding Yulthorpe. All filters that you have are saved here too, the same filters. They're global across Lobbyze. You can use them on every screen. So you selected them on tournaments, the main list, set up notifications, and everything else. All of that stays saved in Lobbyze. It will reload every week as long as the tournament continues to exist on the sites. Your schedule here is automated. The third screen, the one you'll use while grinding, is the grind mode. You'll see a list of everything available to play on the current day. So here, I'm recording this video on March 16th, and you can see today's schedule. Grind mode has two modes. There's a simple mode and an advanced mode. In simple mode, you get a list that you can sort by any column you want. So you can sort by start, by that registration time I mentioned, by buy-in, by name, and several other fields. The same gear icon to configure columns is also available here. You can filter. Now, remember I showed you that back in Manager Schedule, you set your favorites. Now you can come here and filter by favorites only. So you'll see only your favorite tournaments during your grind session. You can also see that some tournaments have a status. You can simply click Skip All Closed, and it'll remove those tournaments from the list. They'll go to the skipped list. Why do we have this list? Because besides closed tournaments, you can also skip a tournament using the little X. So if there's a tournament you don't want to play, just click the X and it's removed from your list. But if you want to see it later, it's in the skipped section. It's not deleted, it's just skipped. So that's the simple mode. It's basically a screen with a list of the day's tournaments. You can also sort by multiple fields if you hold control. You can align by more than one column, like sort by start and buy-in, for example. Do it however you prefer. Now going into advanced mode, it has a really cool feature, which is the financial tracking of your grind. You can know exactly how much you've invested, how much you've ITM'd. There are also more settings I'll show here. The first thing you'll define is how many tables you usually play at the same time. And when you play a tournament, you can click the green play button. Lobbyze will start logging this in your report. So here I've already played 4 entries today, how much in buy-ins I've spent, what's my average buy-in so far, and so far I haven't hit any ITMs. If I bust the tournament, I click bust and enter the ITM amount. That part is optional. You can fill it in or not. If you just want to track which tournaments you played today, you can simply click the X and it's removed from the list. Same if you didn't ITM, just hit the X and it disappears. So the advanced mode gives you the full reporting feature, which will feed into our performance tracking, which I'll show shortly. So the X works the same way. If you don't want to play the tournament, click X and it goes to the skipped section. Here in advanced mode, you can also bring a tournament back to the list. If you misclicked, you can undo it using this little blue button, and it will go back to the list. Then you can reconsider whether you'll play it or not. Here we have some layout settings. You can hide buttons, make the screen cleaner. So you can choose to hide or show the search bar, keeping your screen more minimal. You can group tournaments by start time, so grouped like this. You'll see a breakdown. Tournaments at 2 p.m, 3 p.m, 4 p.m. This can be useful as well. And now the max late button, this little clock icon. When you click it, the tournament disappears from the main list and goes to a separate list of tournaments that will be notified to you 2 minutes before registration closes, in my case. So when 2 minutes are left, you'll get an alarm, and that tournament will come back to the list of available tournaments to play. You configure the max late here. You can set how many minutes your max late will have, so I can set how many minutes my max late will have before registration ends. So 3 minutes before registration ends, you will be notified that this tournament is now available to register. Advanced mode gives you all these tools. It also allows sorting by multiple columns, so you can organize however you want. You can rearrange columns, resize them too. This is also available in simple mode. Sorting and column settings all stay saved, so if you close grind mode and come back, it will be just like you left it. If you leave Lobbyze open overnight, you'll have a bunch of tournaments marked as played. You can simply click skip all played, and it will remove them from the list for you. So to recap, we have our initial screen, Tournaments, where we select tournaments and set filters. We save those filters. In Manager Schedule, we can configure and visualize how our schedule looks. We could also exclude tournaments if we want, and it's all that using those same filters. Let's say you want to remove all PokerStars tournaments. You filter by PokerStars, select the weekday here. It will select everything, and you click exclude. We have the filter option so aware. Whenever you're trying to do something and find yourself doing lots of manual work, remember, you can filter and mass select tournaments by weekday. Same for marking favorites. Say all GG tournaments are your favorites. Select GG, click the weekday, and mark them as favorites. No need to go one by one. So it's super important to explore everything the platform offers. Once that's done, your day-to-day becomes just opening grind mode and playing. Let's talk about how notifications work. We need to download an app. We'll click here on Download Notification. Once the download is done, the app will be available to you. In the Windows system tray, you'll see the Lobbyze icon. From here, you can configure some settings, like which monitor you want the notification to appear on. The notification will show like this. It will show in the tournament color, tournament info. This is just a sample notification. And the sounds available for it can also be selected here. There are other options as well. By default, they'll come enabled. It's a good idea to leave them that way. Always make sure to verify when you go to play if you have opened the app and the status is connected, because Lobbyze app tries to connect when your computer starts up, and sometimes your internet isn't connected yet, so it fails to connect. So always double check. Make sure it's running in your system tray and the server status shows connected. Here's a sample notification. I'll close it now so we don't get too many showing up on screen. But to recap, download the app, log in, it will stay in your Windows tray, and you'll receive notifications just like I showed. Any tournament with this little clock icon means it has a notification set. We already showed how to set those up. And here in the Notification tab, you'll find a log of all saved notifications. This screen isn't meant to be used while playing, it's just for checking what you've already set. It will show the next notification that's scheduled to trigger, but it's just a log screen. So earlier in grind mode, we were clicking play, seeing that played tournament report, ITMs, and so on. That data feeds into this screen, the player report. Here you'll find all your stats for the day, how much you spent in buy-ins, your average buy-in, how much you cashed, ITM, your ITM percentage, and other data from your session. You can also update things here if you forgot to mark something earlier, like, oh, I forgot to register a rebuy in that tournament, or I forgot to mark that I hit ITM. This is your manual financial tracker. It doesn't integrate with other tools, you fill it in manually. You can browse through the days of the week here if you need to update past sessions. Just come here and mark which tournament you played. Whether you ITM'd, you can inform it here. This is your financial management and performance tracking screen. And the daily data from this screen feeds into the all-timer report, the performance graph we have here. This will show all the tournaments you've played within a selected time range. By default, it shows the past month, but you can adjust that and set other filters here, as you all can see. You'll see your profit, average buy-in, your ROI, how much you've cashed, your ITM rate. All of this is fed either from grind mode or manually, as we showed earlier. You can also click play directly here to update the tournament status. To review what you've played, you can sort by the play field. This screen will be expanded in the future with more filters and improvements. But for now, by sorting by play, you can see the tournaments you've played that day, your ITMs, and so on. So this is where your performance tracking lives inside Lobbyze. Another feature, in this same area, is for those who don't usually mark plays in grind mode, or who use simple mode. For example, who don't click play on tournaments or anything. You can use a different method, the bankroll tracking method. That's where you enter how much you started with in each site that day, and at the end of the day, you just enter how much is left. Here, it will give you another way to control your bankroll, a simpler method, where you simply enter your starting balance and final balance for each site, and it gives you a summary of your results so far. You can also browse between days, fill in previous or future days. It's a much simpler form of tracking, for those who want something light and fast, without using the full grind mode. But you can ditch spreadsheets and do everything right here. All the sites we have are listed. You can just come in and enter your starting and ending balance each day, and it will generate your result. Now we'll show you a way to automate, which is the main benefit of using Lobbyze day-to-day automation. At first, we showed how to do manual tournament scheduling, meaning applying filters and selecting tournaments one by one to add to your schedule. But there's a downside to doing it this way. You need to log into Lobbyze every day and check if any new tournament was added and manually add it to your schedule. That means your schedule isn't automated. So how do you automate your schedule? Back in that first filter I showed at the beginning of the video, we created a big group of filters covering multiple sites, and so on. But you can also create your schedule in a very granular way. For example, let's say you split your buy-in range by speed and site. Let's suppose that on PokerStars you play hyper tournaments up to a certain buy-in, let's say $7. That would be your PS hyper schedule. Then we save that filter. I'll show how we use it in a second. Let's say for regulars on PokerStars you can play it more expensive, up to $12. So we'll put regulars tournaments up to 12, PS regulars, for example. So we've done from 2 buy-in levels for different speeds. Let's do the same now for GG. On GG, we play regulars up to $15 a bit higher. So I'll save that as GG regulars. And the fast tournaments on GG, we play cheaper to reduce variance. Let's say up to $10. We'll call that one GG fast. Now that we've created these filters, we go to the Auto Schedule button, and now we see all the filters we've created. They're listed right here. So what are we going to do now? Instead of selecting tournaments manually, we can come here and turn on Auto Scheduling. When Auto Schedule is turned on, Lobbyze will every day run a process that reads your filters and schedules tournaments automatically for you. In other words, you don't have to worry about logging into Lobbyze and selecting tournaments anymore. It will read your filters and place the tournaments in your schedule. So what's your job now? Create good filters. Create filters that reflect exactly what you want to play each day. You can also set automatic priority, for example. If a regular PS tournament comes in, it's high priority. If it's a hyper, it has a lower priority. GG regulars high, GG fast low. Once that's done, your schedule is fully automated. Here I clicked Run Auto Schedule manually, just to force the execution of Lobbyze robot and have it go through our filters right away and schedule everything that matches. So Lobbyze already did all the scheduling for us. The only ones it didn't do are tournaments already in late reg. Everything else was scheduled, and from now on, this will run hourly. So your schedule is now 100% automated. You no longer need to go to the Tournaments tab and manually select tournaments to play. You've now parameterized your schedule. You've already defined the rules for your schedule based on filters that can be combined, like I showed here. So here we did this for 2 sites, but you can expand this to as many sites as you want. You can also group filters. Let's say your logic for hyper tournaments is the same across all sites. You play a certain buy-in on every site as long as the tournament is hyper. Then you can create a hyper filter and include all sites in it and turn on your self-scheduling. In the example here, I made it separated, but this is completely personal. What I want to make clear here is, your job is to create good filters. Set them up with as many parameters as possible. Here I use just a few to keep it simple, but ideally you should already define minimum guarantee, specific formats. If you want even more granular filters, like separating KO from regular, you can do that too, for example. GGKO, you allow buy-ins up to $20, regardless of speed. So, GGKO. These filters are completely flexible. You can configure your schedule however you like. And remember to always use the exclude field called Speed Racer. It matches our filter, buy-in range, KO format, everything. But we don't want to play it, so what can you do? Just go into the exclude field and write part of the name, like Speed Racer. That will remove it from the schedule. You can also improve your filter even more. Say limit it to 7 max or 6 max only to make our schedule here nicer. I'm going to save it to update the filter. And done. Now Speed Racer is gone from the schedule, so I made that change to my filter, and on the next auto schedule run, Lobbyze will no longer add that tournament. And to complement all this, we have a feature called Rebalance Schedule. What is it for? So let's say you've set up your filters, you've turned on auto scheduling, but then a tournament changes and no longer fits your filter. For example, you required a minimum guarantee of $5,000, but now that tournament dropped to $4,000 on the site. Maybe now you don't want to play it anymore, but you need to make Lobbyze remove it from the schedule in case that happens. So what do? You go to the rebalance screen and turn on auto rebalance. So you keep auto rebalance on, and then there's only one setting that draws attention here, which is important for you to take a look. as we commented about, the guarantee, which is one of the most important parameters. Let's say you set a $5,000 minimum guarantee and a tournament drops to $4,900. You'd probably still want to play it. You don't want it to leave your schedule. So it's a good idea to define a tolerance value. This is explained clearly in the example on screen. That's to spot Lobbyze from removing it in case it happens. So a good security range could be 30 to 40% of drop, whatever works for you. Once that's done, you guarantee that your schedule will stay fully automated. That means auto schedule is on and auto rebalance is also running. So your schedule will always be 100% aligned with your filters all the time. And if you ever change your schedule logic or edit several filters, you don't need to delete your grade or restart from scratch. You just come back here and keep auto rebalance on. Because the filter changed, some tournaments will no longer match. Some tournaments will no longer be a part of your schedule, but you don't need to go through manager schedule to see which tournament is no longer part of your schedule and manually delete them. You can just leave auto rebalance on and Lobbyze will clean them up for you. So the most efficient use of Lobbyze is to create filters, turn on auto rebalance, and your schedule will be 100% adhering to your full-time parameters until you come here and change the filters. You can turn auto rebalance on again. It will clean up the tournaments that are out of frame again. So doing it this way, you've created an automatic tournament selection machine inside the filters you've created, of the parameters you've created, and also to keep it updated, to keep it clear, adhering to your filters. So it's very important to use this feature here, so you won't have any tournaments in your schedule that no longer make sense with your filters. Another very important feature is the Manage Filters screen. You're going to create lots of filters, so at some point you might want to edit or update them all. Editing one by one can be time-consuming. Let's say you want to add a new site to your filters. Here you'll see all the grades you have. For example, poker teams use this a lot. They manage grades for multiple players. But in your case, you'll likely have just one grade with multiple filters. Let's say the grade we're working with is called Player X. I'll select it and click Edit. Now it shows all the filters I've created, like GG regulars, GG fast, etc. And I want to come here and add a new site. So I will select the action of Add Change, Filter Site, and select the new site I want to add. It's now added to all my filters. I click Save and Done. My filters are now updated. From that moment on, this new site will be included inside Lobbyze when auto-scheduling runs. So look that I've selected Bodog. It has already inserted Bodog on my filters. Next time auto-scheduling runs, the Bodog tournaments will going to make part of my schedule. This works for any other parameter too. For example, maybe you forgot to add a minimum guarantee in your filters. Just come here, select your grade, and if you're not managing a team, you'll only have one grade. Click Edit, select the filter you want to update. For example, minimum prize pool. And then you can put, I want a prize pool minimum of 200. If there was a minimum prize pool, it works like an update. If there wasn't, it gets inserted. So notice how much easier it is than opening filter by filter to make that edit. That's why it's super important to use this tool here too. This screen also lets you copy filters. You can duplicate a filter. You'll see a little copy button here. If you're managing a team, you can copy it into another grade if needed. You can rename the filter here as well. So this screen is really helpful, especially when you need to replicate updates across several filters.